Dad died at work. They are giving conflicting stories. Who to call? I guarantee that his work stopped taking your calls because their lawyer told them to stop talking to you. Who knows what happened? Could be something, could be nothing. I would ask for an autopsy if you can afford one and speak to a lawyer. Call your state bar association for a referral. Have his body autopsied so you'd know the cause of death. Hire a lawyer ASAP. I'm so sorry for your loss. It's hard to judge time in an emergency. The difference between 5 and 10 minutes isn't great, and really, unless there was a camera, how would they know how long it had been since he passed out before they found him? Get a lawyer and they will find out if there was a camera, among other things. Assuming USA, call OSHA and request an investigation. How would either one know how long he had been passed out when they found him? Something similar happened with my grandmother, who was found deceased in the back seat of her car, mysteriously parked down the street from her doctor's office. Her 2 sons opted not to pursue the matter further. IMO, this was a reasonable decision due to the fact that lying is ubiquitous, and people vigorously do so to protect their own ass. Plus, this was before CCTV cameras were as prevalent as they are today. Now no one at his job is answering our calls. That means someone told them not to. I'm so sorry for your loss. It's gonna be okay. You had 3 different sets of people working to help your dad. Unless it is reasonable to suspect foul play, the likelihood is slim. Just ask for a statement from hospital. It sounds like everyone did their best, but due to not having cameras, the timeline won't be precise. Lot of room for interpretation of events due human error and the traumatic and fluid nature of events. If there was unintentional human error, then you just have to understand that death is part of life. The truth, it sounds like, is your dad passed out at work. No one apparently saw him the moment he passed out. Once discovered, someone apparently tried to help him several times on several occasions, and unfortunately, he didn't make it. Let your loved ones know they are loved. Take the best parts of your dad with you wherever you go, and he'll truly never leave you. I'm sorry for your loss. My brother passed away with conflicting stories. What helped me was the realization if he was alone, his death was 100% certain. The stories I heard of poor paramedic care or exactly what might have happened was just distraction in the end. He died from an undiagnosed medical condition and people tried to help. Take heart that he wasn't alone and efforts were made to fight whatever was happening. I'm sorry for your loss and pain. Where do you live? Shouldn't police workplace regulators be figuring this out? OSHA should have been contacted and opened an investigation. What state are you in? The police and OSHA. Get a lawyer. If you need a PI, the lawyer will get one for you. Lawyer here. Everyone's first thought is to hire a lawyer, like a lawyer knows everything about everything. We don't. The fastest way to clam people up is to send in the lawyer. Go to your dad's workplace to pick up his personal belongings. Everyone has something of their own at work. Poke around and see if you can find out who his friends were and ask around nicely about what happened. Get an autopsy and your dad's ER records. Then get a lawyer if need be. Call the police if you think his death is suspicious. You don't mention his age or if he had health problems. Call OSHA or equivalent if you think he died due to work-related situation. You cannot and shouldn't be doing the investigation by yourself. Very sorry for your loss. Sorry for your loss. All these different stories sound like the same story told by several different people who don't know exactly what happened. It is easier to be angry than sad. Try to let someone else, OSHA or the cops, deal with this while you and your family grieve. If in the US, contact OSHA in addition to local law enforcement. As far as conflicting stories go, there's been a lot of studies showing that people have fucking horrible memories, and most people's testimony is useless. None of this information is conflicting. If the paramedics said he was dead when they arrived, but by the time they arrived it was determined he was not breathing for over 20 minutes, it's likely the paramedics could not revive him at that point. The conflicting stories about who found him means that multiple people found him at some point and tried to inform others. It's possible the boss did perform CPR for 5 minutes, but was not successful and called the 911. If 911 took too long to get there, and this does happen on occasion, it's possible they died while waiting for the doctor. Also, often upon examination they can determine how long a person has been without oxygen. As well as 911 calls are often recorded and time-stamped, so there's ways to verify when the paramedics was sent out. How could they know how long after they found him? It doesn't make sense. You should write everything down. Write down on this day at what time, who told you what happened, and what time they said it happened, just so you can at least keep your story straight, and don't get gaslighted or confused because it sounds like you're going to have to deal with a whole bunch of BS. I strongly recommend that you read this. As a hospital medic, It is very common to get conflicting stories from paramedics, bystanders, loved ones, and even the emergency department team. It is very difficult for many people to accurately recall during an emergency. Which isn't to say there isn't something amiss, but please do take this on board and please don't assume that inconsistencies are damning. They happen, and frequently. I wouldn't call it suspicious. If I passed out in my office at work, I imagine 1 or 2 people might independently find me a few minutes apart. Neither of them would know precisely when I lost consciousness, and probably be panicked, so also have a horrible sense of time passing. Ghosting you seems mean, but I'm pretty sure my co-workers would be freaked out and probably stay away from the office for a while. If you think something is wrong, communicate it to the police and they will make an inquiry, and you can have an autopsy performed to determine cause of death. Call OSHA, call the Department of Labor. They will investigate a workplace death.